The night sky of the alien world was burning. The ground shook with every strike of fire that fell from above. Dust, smoke, and flames filled the air. Strange machines, tall and cold, moved like giants across the battlefield. Their metal bodies glowed with red lights and their weapons screamed as they fired. The sound was like thunder, endless and merciless. Among the chaos, a man ran. His boots hit the cracked ground, his breath heavy, his body tired. He was only one soldier, one human, lost in a war far away from home. Around him, alien soldiers shouted in voices he did not understand. Some fell, some kept fighting. The battle had no mercy for anyone. The man's armor was broken. A deep cut marked his shoulder, blood soaking through the fabric. His weapon was almost empty, but he did not stop. He could not stop. The enemy machines kept coming, pushing forward, crushing everything in their path. Then he saw her. Through the smoke, he spotted a small figure. It was a girl. Not human, but alien. Her skin shimmered faintly blue under the firelight. Her eyes were wide with fear, glowing like silver. She was trapped, standing in the open, frozen in terror as one of the giant machines turned toward her. The machine's weapon began to charge. A red light grew brighter, ready to fire. For a moment, time slowed. The man's heart pounded. He knew she would die in seconds if no one moved. He did not think. He did not plan. He just ran. The soldier sprinted across the battlefield, faster than his body wanted to go. Every muscle screamed, every breath felt like fire in his lungs, but he did not stop. The alien girl was still frozen, unable to move, her small hands covering her face. The machine fired. In that final instant, the man threw himself forward. He grabbed the girl, pulling her close. His body shielded hers as the blast hit. The explosion was like the sky breaking open. Fire wrapped around him. The sound was deafening, louder than anything he had ever heard. The ground cracked beneath them, throwing dust and stones into the air. Pain filled every part of his body. Heat burned his skin. Darkness pushed against his mind. He felt himself falling, but he did not let go of the girl. For one last moment, he thought of home. He thought of Earth. He thought of the faces of the people he once knew, so far away now. And then, silence. The battlefield was gone. The screams were gone. Even the heat of the blast faded. All that remained was darkness. But the darkness was strange. It was not death, at least not the death he expected. It was heavy, endless, yet calm. He could not move. He could not breathe. Still, he felt something. The girl was in his arms. He could sense her, small and fragile but alive. Why was she alive? Why was he alive? The questions circled in his mind, but no answers came. His body felt weightless, as if floating in water or drifting in space. The fire and pain had vanished, replaced by a deep, unnatural silence. A faint sound reached his ears. Not the scream of war, not the roar of machines. It was soft, like a whisper, like a voice speaking in the dark. He could not understand the words, but the tone was calm, almost welcoming. He tried to open his eyes, but the darkness held them shut. He tried to move his hand, but his body refused to obey. All he could do was listen to that strange, quiet voice. For the first time, fear touched him. Not the fear of death. He had faced that many times before, but fear of the unknown. What was this place? The voice grew louder. The darkness began to shift as if it was alive, swirling like smoke. Light flickered at the edges, faint and distant. He felt himself pulled forward, deeper into whatever this place was. The girl stirred in his arms. He could not see her face, but he felt her move. She was not crying, she was not afraid. It was almost as if she knew this place, as if she had been here before. He tried to speak. His voice was weak, almost gone. Only one word left his lips. Why? But there was no answer. Only the swirling darkness and the pull of something waiting ahead. The battlefield was over. The blast had taken him. But this This was something else. This was the beginning of a place that would change everything. For a moment, he could not breathe. He expected smoke, fire, and screams. He expected the sound of war and the heat of the explosion. But instead, there was silence. A strange, heavy silence that pressed against his ears. He lay on a smooth surface, cold like glass, but softer than stone. Above him was no sky. No stars, no smoke, no clouds, only white. Endless white. It was not a ceiling, not the open sky. Something in between, glowing faintly, like light trapped in fog. His chest rose and fell. He was alive. But how? The memory of the blast returned, the fire, the pain, the girl in his arms. Slowly he turned his head. She was there, lying beside him. Her small chest rose with calm breaths. Her silver eyes opened, and for a moment she simply stared at him. Not with fear, not with anger, but with something he could not name. You. His voice cracked. You're alive. The girl did not answer. She sat up slowly, looking around the room. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from recognition, as if this place was not strange to her, as if she had been here before. The man pushed himself up. His body felt wrong, not broken, not burned, not weak, different. His wounds were gone. The cut in his shoulder, the bruises, the burns, all healed. He looked at his hands. They were his, but stronger, steadier, as if made new. What happened? He whispered to himself. A sound broke the silence. A hum, deep and steady, rising from the walls, the floor, the air itself. Lights flickered in the distance, faint symbols glowing across the white surface. They were not written in any language he knew, but somehow, he felt their meaning. They were watching, measuring, waiting. The girl stood. She looked at him with her glowing eyes. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, but each word carried weight. You protected me. The blast did not kill us. It brought us here. Her words shook him more than the explosion had. He frowned. Where is... Here. The girl turned her gaze to the white walls. A place between worlds, not yours, not mine. A place made long ago. He felt his chest tighten. Between worlds? What did that mean? Was this a prison? A dream? Some afterlife? Before he could ask again, the hum grew louder. A ripple spread across the white walls like water disturbed by a stone. From the ripple, shapes began to appear. Tall, glowing figures stepped forward, their forms shifting between solid and light. They had no faces, yet he felt their eyes on him. Instinct made him reach for his weapon, but his weapon was gone. His hands were empty. The figures spoke, their voices layered, as if many spoke at once. The sound was not in his ears, but in his head, echoing inside his thoughts. The protector has awakened. The words froze him in place. Protector? Him? I don't understand, he said aloud, his voice rough. What do you mean, protector? I'm just a soldier, just a man. The glowing beings did not answer directly. Instead, one of them raised a hand of light. Symbols burned brighter on the walls, and the surface beneath him shifted, becoming transparent. For a moment, he saw visions, worlds spinning in the dark, stars collapsing, fire consuming planets. He saw armies of machines like the ones on the battlefield, spreading like a plague. And then he saw himself, not as he was, but as something more. Standing tall, stronger than before, a weapon in his hand glowing with power he did not know. He stepped back, his breath shaking. No, that's not me. The girl looked at him with steady eyes. It is you. The machine's blast woke the old power. It chose you. He shook his head. I didn't choose this. I only wanted to save you. And you did? She whispered. That is why it chose you. The glowing beings spoke again, their voices heavy like thunder. The war spreads, the enemy grows, one must rise to stand against them. one who protects not only his own but all who cannot fight. Human, you are chosen. You will walk a path that cannot be turned away. The man's heart pounded, his mind raced. He wanted to scream that they were wrong, that he was no hero, no protector, just a man far from home. But deep inside, something stirred, a memory of the moment he leapt into the fire, the choice he made without thinking. Maybe he had been chosen the moment he moved to save the girl. The girl reached out, touching his hand. Her small fingers were cold, yet her touch was steady. If you refuse, worlds will burn. If you accept, there is hope. The white room trembled. The visions faded, and the glowing being stepped back into the light, leaving only their words behind. The silence returned, but it was no longer empty. The man stood there, his heart heavy, his mind torn. He had no answers, only questions. But one truth had become clear. His life, his war, his world, none of it would ever be the same again. The silence in the white chamber did not last. The man stood, breathing hard, still feeling the girl's small hand against his own. His body was steady, stronger than before, but his heart was heavy with confusion. The glowing beings had vanished, leaving only their words behind. Protector, chosen, hope. But what did it mean? Why him? He turned toward the girl. Her silver eyes reflected the white glow of the room. She did not look surprised. She did not even look afraid. Instead, her expression was calm, almost sad, as if she had already known this moment would come. You knew, the man said quietly. His voice carried more anger than he expected. You knew this place, you knew. Something about me. The girl nodded slowly. My people told stories. Old stories. Of a protector who would come. Not from our world, not from theirs, but from somewhere else. A human. The word stung. Human. He was the only one here. The only one who did not belong. He stepped back, shaking his head. That's not me. I'm no protector. I'm just a soldier. I bleed, I fail, His voice broke. I was supposed to die in that blast. Her eyes softened. Yes, but you did not. The power does not choose by accident. Before he could argue, the chamber changed. The smooth floor beneath them cracked with light. White shifted into black and black into color. The air rippled and suddenly the room was no longer empty. Images appeared all around them, floating in the air like living smoke. Cities burned under red skies. Rivers turned to fire. Endless machines marched across the ruins of worlds. There, heavy steps echoed in the man's chest, though they were only visions. He saw planets one after another fall to the same enemy, the same machines he had faced on the battlefield. They were spreading, endless, consuming everything. Then the vision changed. He saw a figure standing against them. A man, his own face. But not the man he knew. This version of him stood taller, stronger, holding a weapon that glowed like a star. Behind him, armies of humans and aliens alike gathered, and when he raised his hand, the machine stopped. The vision ended. The chamber returned to white. The man fell to his knees, his breath shaking. No, that's not me. I can't be that. The girl knelt beside him. Her voice was steady, like she carried the weight of truth. It is not what you are, it is what you will become. Anger flared in his chest. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to fight your war. I didn't ask to be your protector. Her eyes darkened, but she did not look away. And yet you already chose. When you threw yourself into the fire, when you shielded me with your life, that choice cannot be undone. His fist tightened. The memory of the blast burned in his mind. He had acted without thinking, without reason, just instinct. To protect. Was that the choice they meant? Before he could answer, the chamber rippled again. This time a deep shadow grew in the distance. Not light, not vision. Something real. Something alive. A new figure stepped forward. It was not glowing. It was not human. It was metal. A tall machine, its body black like obsidian, its eyes red as fire. Unlike the mindless giants he had seen before, this one moved with purpose. It stopped only a few steps away, its gaze locked on him. The girl gasped. "It found us." The man's body tensed. No weapon, no armor, only his hands. But still, he stood in front of her, instinct driving him again. The machine's voice was deep, a grinding echo of steel. "Protector, the title is false. You are flesh, weak. You cannot stop what comes." The man clenched his fists. "Maybe not, but I'll fight you anyway." The machine tilted its head as if curious. "Then you will die first." Before it could strike, the chamber itself reacted. The walls of light flared brighter than the sun. Symbols burned in the air, circling the man. His body shook as energy surged into him, power he did not understand, power that was not his. The girl cried out. "It begins!" The man fell too, his knees, pain ripping through him, but his body did not break. Instead, the energy filled him brighter, stronger, burning away his doubt. His vision blurred, but in that blur he saw his hands glowing. The machine stepped back, its red eyes narrowing. For the first time, it looked uncertain. The man rose. His body was the same, yet not the same. He felt stronger, faster, alive with something beyond human strength. The machine growled. "So it is true. The weapon has chosen you." The man's voice was low but steady. "I don't know what I am, but I know this. I won't let you touch her." The machine lunged. The man raised his hand and light burst from his palm like fire. The clash shook the chamber, echoing with power. The truth had been revealed. He was no longer just a soldier, no longer just human. The protector had awakened. The chamber shook with power. Light burned from the man's hands, clashing against the machine's red fire. The air cracked like thunder, and the ground split beneath their feet. For the first time, the man did not feel weak. He did not feel small. His body surged with strength that was not his own. Energy flowed through his veins like lightning. Every heartbeat louder, stronger. But the machine was no ordinary enemy. Its black frame stood firm, its arms heavy with weapons that shifted and changed. Blades grew from its arms, sharp and deadly, and its eyes glowed brighter with rage. The girl stood behind the man, her small frame trembling, yet she did not run. Her silver eyes stayed fixed on him. "You must control it," she cried. "The power answers you, only you." He clenched, his fists, the glow around them blazing brighter, but control was hard. The energy burned inside him like fire too big for his body. He raised his hand and thrust forward. A wave of light shot out, slamming into the machine. The impact threw it back, smashing it against the chamber wall. The white surface cracked, sparks flying. The machine roared in anger, rising again, pieces of its body glowing red as it healed itself. The man's chest heaved. That strike had drained him. He stumbled, his knees weak. This power was strong, but it came with a cost. The machine spoke, its voice deep and cold. "Flesh cannot master the weapon. You will burn yourself before you burn us." It charged. The man dodged barely. The ground cracked where the machine's blade struck. He swung his glowing fist, punching its chest. The light burst, denting the metal, but pain ripped through his arm. His bones screamed under the force. He staggered back. The machine pressed forward, merciless, striking again and again. Each blow shook the chamber, echoing like war drums. The man blocked with his arms, light sparking each time, but his strength was fading. The girl shouted, her voice sharp. "Don't. Fight the power. Flow with it. Stop resisting." Her words echoed in his mind. He realized he had been forcing the energy, trying to control it with his human will. But maybe that was wrong. Maybe he had to trust it. He closed his eyes for a heartbeat. He let the energy flow, not pushing, not pulling, just letting it move. When the machine's blade came down again, he raised his hand, and instead of resisting, the light formed a shield, smooth and solid, glowing like crystal. The blade struck but did not break through. His eyes opened. The shield shone, alive and strong. For the first time he smiled. The machine growled, stepping back. Impossible. The man stood tall, raising his hand again. The shield dissolved into a spear of light, sharp and radiant. He threw it. The spear shot through the air, striking the machine's chest. The force lifted it off its feet, slamming it into the wall once more. Sparks and smoke filled the chamber. This time the machine did not rise quickly. Its body shook, sparks flying from the wound. The girl's voice trembled with awe. "You are learning." The man's chest burned, sweat dripping down his face, but he nodded. "I don't understand it, but I can feel it, like it wants me to win." The machine staggered forward, half broken, its red eyes flickering. "You cannot stop us. Human. There are more. Endless. You are only one." The man clenched his fists, the glow still pulsing in his veins. He stepped forward, standing between the girl and the machine. His voice was low, but steady. "Then I'll fight every one of you. As long as I stand, you don't win." The machine roared and lunged, but this time the man was ready. The power moved with him faster than thought. His body glowed, his fist struck, and the chamber filled with light. The machine's scream echoed once, then was gone. Its body shattered into fragments of dark metal, fading into ash that vanished into the air. The chamber grew silent. Only the man's heavy breaths filled the space. The light around him dimmed, leaving him tired but alive. The girl walked closer, her silver eyes wide. "You did it." He shook his head. "No, that was only one. If there are more like that, I don't know if I can keep this up." She touched his arm gently. "You can, because you are not alone. The weapon chose you, but I will guide you. Together, we can fight them." The man looked at her fragile frame, her glowing eyes, that carried wisdom beyond her years. For the first time, he felt something more than confusion, more than anger. He felt purpose. He took a deep breath. "Then tell me everything. Who are they? Why do they want us gone? And why? Why me?" The chamber trembled softly, as if answering his questions. The white walls shifted, showing visions again. This time, not of war but of history. Long ago battles, ancient guardians, and the rise of the machine swarm. The girl's voice was calm, steady, because you are human. And in the oldest prophecy, it was always a human who would rise. Not because of power, not because of strength, but because of choice. Her words cut deep. He remembered the blast, the moment he chose to save her. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. The truth was clear now. His choice had awakened something ancient, and that choice had made him the protector. The first battle was over, but the real war was only beginning. The chamber of light was quiet once more. The broken machine had turned to ash, its pieces fading into nothing. Only the faint hum of the walls remained. The man stood, breathing hard, his hands still glowing faintly before the light finally faded from his skin. He looked down at them. They were his hands, his flesh, but they no longer felt the same. The power inside him was quiet now, like a river resting after a storm. He was thankful for the silence, but part of him feared it. What if the power returned? What if he lost control next time? The girl watched him closely, her silver eyes calm but sharp. "You feel it now," she said softly. "You are connected." He nodded, not knowing how to answer. Connected to what? To the chamber? To the power? To something older than both of them? Before he could ask, the ground beneath them shifted. The walls of the chamber began to ripple like water, glowing brighter. Slowly the light spread, forming a door. Beyond the door was not more white space, but a wide, endless horizon of stars. The man's breath caught. For the first time since the blast, he saw the universe, The stars stretched forever, whole galaxies glowing like rivers of fire in the dark. Strange worlds spun in the distance, some bright, some shadowed. It was beautiful and terrifying. The girl stepped forward, her small hand almost reaching into the starlight. "It is time," she whispered. He frowned. Time for what? She turned back to him. The chamber was only the beginning. Out there is the truth, the war, the enemy, the prophecy, and our path. The man stared into the endless dark. He had never felt so small, not even on the battlefield. Out there, beyond this door, was everything he did not understand. He wanted to turn back, to find Earth, to return to a life he once knew. But deep inside, he knew there was no going back. His hand tightened into a fist. "Then let's go." They stepped through the door together. The world beyond was not open, space. Instead, they found themselves on a platform of stone floating in the stars. Strange symbols glowed on its surface, and massive stone arches rose on every side, carved with markings he could not read. The air here was not cold, not empty. It was alive. He could feel it in his chest like a heartbeat that was not his own. The girl spoke again, her voice low. "This is the bridge. It connects worlds. Long ago it was built by the ancients before the machines rose. Few remember it now. Fewer still can walk it." He turned slowly, looking at the vast arches. "And we can?" She nodded. "Because the weapon chose you, and because I am the last of my people." Her words struck him. The last. She was not only a child he had saved, she was the last of her kind, carrying a burden he could not imagine. He wanted to ask her more, but before he could, one of the arches lit up. A path of glowing stone stretched forward, floating into the stars, leading toward a distant planet glowing faintly blue. The girl pointed. "That is where we must go first." The man squinted at the planet. "What's there?" "Answers," she said simply. He almost laughed. Answers. That was all he had been searching for since the blast. But the thought of stepping onto that strange path made his stomach tighten. One wrong step, and they would fall into nothing. Still, he walked forward. His boots hit the glowing stone. It held firm. The girl followed close, her eyes never leaving the planet ahead. As they moved, the silence of space pressed around them. No sound, no air, only the steady hum of the bridge itself. The man's thoughts turned dark. If the machines were endless, if more like the one he fought waited ahead, what chance did he truly have? The girl seemed to sense his fear. "You doubt," she said gently. He sighed. "I'm human. Doubt is what we do." She looked at him with a small, almost sad smile. "And yet, you still walk forward." Her words gave him pause. She was right. He doubted, but he did not stop. Maybe that was the difference. The path stretched on, and as they neared the planet, visions flickered on the arches above. He saw armies marching, flames rising, strange cities falling into shadow. But he also saw flashes of hope, people fighting back, alien and human alike standing together against the machines. Each vision left him shaken, but also stronger. The future was not fixed. Maybe the enemy was endless, but so was choice. At last, the path reached the edge of the planet's atmosphere. The bridge ended, and light wrapped around them, pulling them down gently. The man shielded the girl as they descended, the world rushing closer. They landed on solid ground. The air here was thick and heavy, the sky red with clouds. Strange towers rose in the distance, broken and crumbling like the ruins of a once great city. The girl looked around, her face pale. This world was once ours, before the machines came. Now it is only ghosts. The man stared at the ruins, his chest heavy. If this was what the machines did to worlds, then the war was far bigger than he imagined. He took a deep breath. "Then let's find your answers, before the ghosts find us." And together, they walked into the ruins where secrets waited in the shadows. The ruins stretched before them like broken teeth. Towers of stone and metal leaned against one another, shattered by time and war. Cracks split the streets, and vines of strange black plants crawled through every gap, feeding on the dead world. The air was heavy, filled with dust and a faint, metallic smell, like rust and ash. The man walked slowly, his eyes sharp, every step cautious. His instincts told him this place was not safe. He had walked through battlefields, through cities destroyed by fire, but this ruin felt different. It was not only destroyed, it was watching. The girl walked beside him, her small steps silent. Her silver eyes scanned the ruins with sorrow. "This was once my people's capital," she said softly. "A city of light. A place where all lived, in peace. Now it is only shadows." The man looked around at the broken towers. "The machines did this?" She nodded. "They came without warning. They burned our skies, they broke our walls, and when the war was done, they left nothing alive." Her words hung heavy between them. He imagined families running through these streets, children laughing, voices echoing between tall towers. Now only silence remained. They moved deeper, into the ruins. Every broken building seemed to whisper. Symbols were carved into the stone, glowing faintly even after centuries. Some were cracked, some nearly erased, but the man felt their meaning just as he had in the chamber. They were warnings. They were prayers. They were memories. At the center of the city stood a massive hall, its roof half gone, its pillars scarred, but still standing. The girl stopped in front of it, her face pale. "This was the Hall of Guardians," she whispered, "where my people kept their knowledge. If the prophecy is true, answers wait inside." The man's jaw tightened. He remembered the vision of himself standing tall against the machines. Answers. That was all he wanted. But answers often came with more danger. He pushed open the heavy doors. They groaned as if the city itself resisted. Inside, the hall was vast, filled with broken statues and shattered glass. Dust floated in the air, glowing faintly in the dim light. At the far end stood a great stone table covered in carvings. The girl walked quickly to it, her hands brushing over the surface. Symbols lit up under her touch, forming a map. Stars, worlds, paths across the galaxy. The man stepped closer, staring at the glowing lines. "What is it?" Her voice was steady. "The path of the protector. The ancients left it here. A guide to the places we must go." He frowned. "Places?" She nodded. "Each world holds a piece of the weapon's truth. Together they can stop the machines. Alone they will fall." Before he could ask more, the ground shook. A deep rumble rolled through the hall, and dust rained down from the broken ceiling. The girl froze. "They know we are here." The man spun, his fist clenching. From the shadows of the hall, shapes began to move. Not giant machines like before, but smaller ones, four-legged, crawling like predators. Their eyes glowed red, their bodies sleek and sharp. The man's heart raced. He had no time to think. The power inside him stirred, answering his fear. Light flickered across his arms, glowing brighter with each breath. The first machine leapt, its claws aimed for his throat. He swung his fist, light exploding on impact. The creature shattered into sparks and ash. Two more came from the left. He raised his hand, forming a shield of light. Their claws scraped against it, screeching like knives on glass. With a shout, he pushed forward, the shield bursting into a wave of force that sent them crashing into the walls. The girl stood behind him, chanting in her own language. The symbols on the table grew brighter, sending pulses of energy across the room. But the machines kept coming, crawling from every shadow, dozens of them, their red eyes burning. The man fought, his body moving with the power, his strikes glowing like fire. But each blow drained him, each wave of energy left his chest heavier. Sweat dripped down his face, his muscles screaming. He stumbled, nearly falling. A machine leapt toward him, claws ready. At the last moment, the girl raised her hand, silver light flashing from her eyes. The machine froze mid-air, its body twisting before it shattered into pieces. The man looked at her, stunned. You can fight too?" She shook her head. "Not for long. My power is small. Yours is the weapons." The machine circled, their red eyes glowing brighter. For every one they destroyed, more crawled from the shadows. The hall shook with their screeches. The man's chest burned. His body could not take much more. But he looked at the girl, at her fragile frame, her eyes glowing with hope, and he knew he could not stop. He clenched his fists, light flaring so bright it filled the hall. Then, "I'll give them everything." With a roar he charged, the power bursting from him like a storm. The machines fell one by one, shattered by the light. The hall shook, cracks spreading across its walls. Finally, silence. Only smoke and ash remained. The man collapsed to one knee, his breath ragged, his body trembling. The glow faded from his skin, leaving only exhaustion. The girl rushed to his side, her hand on his shoulder. "You did it." He shook his head. No, that was only the beginning. Her silver eyes glowed softly. "Yes, but now you know. The weapon will answer you. And together we will follow the path." The man stared at the glowing map on the table. Stars, worlds, a journey across the galaxy. His chest tightened, but he stood. The ruins had given him truth. The war was bigger than he imagined. The machines would not stop, but neither would he. The journey had truly begun. The ruins were silent after the battle, but the silence felt wrong. Too heavy. Too sharp. The man stood near the great stone table, his fists still trembling from the fight. The glow of the weapon inside him had faded, leaving his body weak and aching. Every muscle screamed. He had pushed himself too far. The girl knelt beside the glowing map, her silver eyes scanning the symbols. "The path is clear now," she whispered. "We know where to go next." The man forced himself to straighten, his breath uneven. "Then we leave this place. Now." But as he spoke, a chill spread through the hall. The air grew heavy, pressing down on his chest. The hairs on the back of his neck rose. He turned, scanning the shadows. Something was here. The girl's eyes narrowed. She felt it too. "They are watching." A low sound echoed through the ruins. Not claws, not metal striking stone. A voice, deep and cold, carrying across the hall, like smoke. "Protector." The word froze him. From the shadows at the far end of the hall, a figure stepped forward. It was not like the crawling machines they had fought. It was taller, shaped like a man, its body forged from black steel. Red light burned in its chest, pulsing like a heart. Its face was smooth metal, with no mouth, no eyes, only a single slit of crimson light where eyes should be. The man felt his chest tighten. This machine was different. Smarter, stronger. The girl whispered, her voice shaking, "A hunter." The machine's voice filled the hall again, though its mouth never moved. "You are chosen by the weapon. That makes you dangerous. That makes you mine." The man stepped in front of the girl, his fists clenching. He could feel the weapon inside him stirring, answering the threat. But he was still weak, his body not ready for another fight. "I'm not yours," he growled, "and I'm not afraid of you." The hunter tilted its head. "Not afraid. Yet. You will learn. All flesh learns. Before it breaks." It raised its arm, and a blade of black energy formed, humming with power. The ground beneath it cracked as the hunter stepped closer, slow and deliberate. The girl grabbed the man's arm. "We cannot fight it here. Not now. You are not ready." He gritted his teeth. Every part of him wanted to fight, to strike, to protect. But deep inside, he knew she was right. This enemy was not like the others. If he stayed, they would both die. The girl pointed to the glowing map. One of the star symbols pulsed brighter, and a beam of light shot upward, forming a doorway. "The bridge is calling, take it." The hunter lunged. The man grabbed the girl's hand and ran. His boots pounded the cracked stone, his heart racing. Behind him, the hunter's blade sliced through the pillars, shattering them like glass. Dust and stone rained down. They reached the beam of light. Without thinking, he pulled the girl into it. The world dissolved around them, the ruins vanishing into white fire. For a moment, they floated in nothing. No ground, no sky. Only the hum of the bridge pulling them forward. The man's breath came fast. His chest burned, not just from running, but from the memory of the hunter's eyes. Cold, endless, patient. The girl clutched his arm. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. The machines know now. They will not stop. The hunters will follow us across worlds. He swallowed hard. Then we keep moving. We stay ahead of them. She looked at him, her silver eyes sharp. It will not be enough. You must grow stronger. The weapon is powerful, but it is only beginning to wake. If you fail to master it, they will break you. Her words cut deep, but he nodded. She was right. Every battle so far had left him closer to death than life, and the enemies were only growing stronger. The white fire faded, and they landed hard on new ground. This world was different. The sky was dark green, heavy clouds twisting like storms. The air smelled of smoke and ash. Black rivers cut through the land, glowing faintly with heat. In the distance, towers of stone rose, jagged like knives. The man stood slowly, helping the girl to her feet. Where are we? She looked around, her eyes narrowing. The second world on the path. A place once ruled by the ancients. If the map is true, something waits for us here. He scanned the horizon, his fists tightening. Or someone. Far in the distance, a red glow flickered. Not fire, not natural. The machines were here. The girl's voice dropped to a whisper. The shadow of the enemy has already reached this place. The man's chest tightened. He could still hear the hunter's voice in his mind. All flesh learns before it breaks. The path was clear. The machines were hunting him now, and with every step, the shadow of the enemy grew darker. But he could not stop. Not now. Not ever. He looked at the girl, his voice steady. Then let's find what we came for, before the shadow finds us first. Together, they walked into the storm.